Hello, hi, how are you? So we continue a series of productivity, a mastermind. This is called the Reset Rebuild Mastermind group that I facilitate. And I'm continuing a series of productivity and you attaining your goals for the year. Hello, my name is Rachel Kaiser. I'm a business coach and productivity coach and also healthcare consultant, actually. So, I have been talking about some really great stuff, how we can work, you know, to achieve our goals. I started out with planning, and then actually I started out with the benefits of a mastermind group. And then I talked about how we can actually set our goals in order to ensure that we are strategic about actually working them and achieving them. So then afterwards, I talked about planning, you know, of how we can do that, accomplish that. And now we are into the phase of actually working our plan. Okay, we planned our work and now we are working our plan. So, having said that, I gave some tips yesterday and I'm continuing along that line of giving some tips. And today I'll share three tips, okay, of how we can continue to work our plan. So, first of all, one of the things that we need to do is we need to plan our day in advance. Okay, by planning our day in advance, it means that when you work, like the day today, for example, like yesterday, at the end of the day, it depends. You can choose when, but usually it's better at the end of the day. Why? Because it allows you to actually see what you accomplished, for that day. And then sometimes you may need to either move some of the activities or tasks that you didn't get to do the day tomorrow, or you may determine that you don't even need to do it, or you may determine that you can ask someone else to help you with it. One of the things I talked about is asking for help, delegating where you can, when you can, to ensure that you move, you know, you move faster to get to what your goals are. If you don't need to do that, that's also okay. You can be able to do all the things yourself. However, I'm just saying if there's some things that you feel that you can ask for help, people can help you with that. So moving along those lines, one of the things I've talked about is before you actually plan your day in advance, which is the day tomorrow, and in this example, I'm giving the day of yesterday, I will have looked and seen what I had put my activities to work on that day, and make sure that you always choose the top three. Just give yourself at least three at the very most, if you can. Sometimes there's more, sometimes stuff comes up, that's okay. But if you can cut it down to three as a top priority, that's better. It doesn't mean you don't write anything after that. It just means that those are the things you will work on. Okay. So, anyway, after you assess your day, what you've achieved, what you've been able to do, and then you look and see what you can move to the day after, the next day, if it's still a priority that you need to actually complete. Okay, so you do that, determine what you accomplished, and then determine what you can move to the day after. If there's nothing, great. If there is, move it, and then start planning your day. So the day for tomorrow, how you plan that is, again, you're going to determine what are your top tasks and that are going to help you achieve your goal for the week that you set up. Because we talked about setting up weekly goals. Okay. Once you do that, you go and look at each of those that you've written down. And then again, that's when we're going to now, uh, tip number two. You're going to look at that and see what is the one thing. Okay, the one thing is actually a concept that was developed by a guy called Gary Keller. He's one of the co-founders of that Keller Williams Realty company. They are franchised. They're all over, at least in the US here. They could be also in other countries, but I do know here in the US they are. I think also in Canada, actually. So those are the really, that is the one thing rather that he talks about the one thing. So the concept of the one thing is you look at what is the one thing that is really the most important that will help you to move forward or to move towards the goal that you've set for yourself. Okay, so look at everything that you've listed down and look at that. And then the idea here is really to prioritize. Okay, once you prioritize, you either number or you alphabetize them in a sort of way, what you're going to do first, and then what you do next, and then after that. And once you do that, then you look and also tell yourself, hey, what is also of these things that I've prioritized, which takes us to tip number 3. What is the thing that I can do that will actually help me get the most bang for the money or for my time? Okay, so this brings us into the 80-20 rule. I think you've heard of the 80-20, whereby you can do 20% things, or 20% of anything usually will help to get the results that are 80%. So in other words, you don't have to do all the things. Sometimes even I myself, I fall under this. I may have a list of 10 things to do. I'll tell you, I don't get to all of them. Okay. So the thing is to look at that one thing. What is it going to give you the biggest bang for your time? And by that, I mean that will move you the closest to your goal. And then you then assess also of that. Once you write down actually that one thing, you're going to write down, also break it down into different tasks. Break down that step, because one of the things that makes all of us procrastinate is that sometimes the task may be daunting. It may be big, it seems big, it's not accomplishable in the time we want. So the next thing that we need to be doing really is to ensure that we break it down literally. Like, for example, I'll say, if I have to write a blog, I'm just giving an example. So a blog, first of all, I'm going to write a blog. Do I know the topic? So I need to find the topic about it. I need to find, if it's the topic, I then need to find out what it is that, I'll talk about within that topic. Okay, you write down your notes, in other words, brainstorm what I'll talk about. And then 3, once I brainstorm those things that I'll talk about, how many points should I make about that? Say you want 3 to 5, I'll go with 3. Okay, and then these are the main, you tell yourself, these are the main things that I'll talk about within that topic. And then once you say that, these are the main things that I'll talk about, okay, then you say, then what is the takeaway at the end? How can I share this in a way that people can take action, for example? What can I call people to do? That's a call to action to do, or a follow-up for them to do, as far as a blog, okay? So literally like break down everything, in step by step. It might seem like it's very obvious, but it's not. So that is the one thing you need to do, is break down your tasks into smaller activities. Those are the ones I call activities of what you need to do. Okay. And when you do that, then this will allow you to actually prioritize the things that you need to do. And then we have another uh, you know, coined word that they call eat the frog. So eat the frog really was coined by Brian Tracy. He is an author. The book is literally called Eat the Frog. You can look it up. But the idea also is that you look and see what is the most complex of those tasks. Again, remember we said, one that is the bigger task is the big thing. And usually that one thing may have a combination of many other tasks that will help you get, again, remember I said the big bang for your time or money, so to say. So you look into that and you break it down, and then you see which is the most complex. Always make sure that, especially in the morning, if you can. Some of us are not morning people. Some of us are morning people. However, the thing, even though you're not a morning person, is if you do the most difficult tasks earlier in the day, what happens is that you will not put it off. You will not procrastinate. You will not be afraid to start it. I have been through this. I know this. And I have to use also me these tactics that do this thing in the morning and also do it earlier so that you are fresh, it's fresh on your mind, you still feel inspired or motivated. Because towards the end of the day or later in the day, things come up and then we may feel tired, we're not up to it, I don't feel like it. So when you do things that are more difficult in the morning, which is the time eat the frog, you find that you will be able to accomplish it. Okay, so those are the 3 tasks that I'm giving you. Once you've done that, then the next step is to bring out either your calendar or your notebook, as I talked about before, and then time block those tasks. And then the activities below each one of the tasks that you need to do to accomplish. Okay. Again, the examples I gave is you can say if you start from 8 or whatever time you start from. If you start from 8, you can say 1 hour, and you can say 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, or just 1 hour, and then you take half an hour break or even 10 minutes break if half an hour is too much, and then move on to the next task. The idea also is that you try to finish that. Now, one of the things they say is that when you time block yourself, move on to the next task that you've put in your calendar or in your planner or in your notebook before you finish the other. You can do that if you're okay with that. I myself, sometimes I find it a bit difficult to actually break that concentration or break my being in the zone to move on to the next task. So what I've found is that I can actually block the time, okay, and maybe just a little bit more to be able to complete that task. That works better for me. Again, find out what works better for you so that you don't sabotage yourself. Like I said, some of us are not good at leaving a task undone, at least if it was especially a high priority. Like it's not finished and then you move on to the next one. I myself am not good at that. I want to complete a task and then move on to the next. So do what works for you. Sometimes I will actually leave the task and move on to the next. Sometimes I may not, but that is what I do. Again, be flexible, don't be too rigid. The idea also is that when you're flexible, it allows you to enjoy what you're doing, because if you're rigid and too hard on yourself, again, it's about giving yourself grace. You will find that you self-sabotage. You're like, oh, I can't accomplish this, and then you drop the whole idea. So I myself like really being flexible with myself, and then also working according to what works for me. Okay, sometimes you can leave the task, sometimes you don't, and then you move on to the next one. So again, time blocking after you have prioritized your task. Okay, and do that. Don't forget, at least either after 5, depending on your schedule. If you work until 5, I'm using that as an example. Some of us may work a bit later, earlier, depending. But before you end your day, your work day, however time or whenever time that might be, give yourself the last 30 minutes again to remember, to go back and review what you've accomplished for the day. Did you do everything? Did you not complete everything? And then review and say, you check off what you've done. Okay, remember, this is not necessarily a to-do list, but it is in a way. But I could call it a success list. Okay, check off what you have accomplished and then look at what you haven't and see if it's something you can move to the next day. Again, if it's something important. If it's not, maybe you can leave it until some time later so that you do it either out of office hours or something over the weekend. But at least if it's something that is not moving you towards your goal, it's not a high priority for that week, you can postpone it. If it is, absolutely make sure that you include it in your next day activities and whatever you're going to do. Okay, so remember to plan, to work your plan, and also the 3 takeaways that we've done. The 3 takeaways, and number 1 is that you plan in advance. 2 was that remember to look at what you need to do for your week and look at and see what is the one thing you need to accomplish. And then move that every day. Every day, just make sure you get that one thing that you need to do. And then 3, when you get that one thing, usually it's could be a big actually task that will have different activities that you need to do. So break down that one thing into tasks and then prioritize them. Prioritize them according to the 80-20 rule. In other words, what can I do now that will help me get the most bang for my time? And then, go according to that. So I hope this has been a good video that you've watched, that you've gotten some tips. I would love to hear your comments. Let me know if you have any questions also. Feel free to ask. And I look forward to, seeing you again tomorrow or in the next episode. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.